Rightio, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to Maximum Production episode 31. And it is my absolute pleasure today to welcome along Melinda Little from smaXtec New Zealand and also to the one and only John Allen. First of all, John and Wendy from the Lightburn stud in Manawatu, farming 350 cows. They operate a closed herd along with all young stock and bulls raised on the farm, and the cows are all wintered at home. The herd is fed all year round with a mixer wagon and a feed pad system, achieving 634 kilograms of milk solids last season. That's a great production effort there from the team. And to date, 94 bulls have entered the sire proving schemes, with several breeding companies involved with those intakes. To reduce the dependency on staff and make management decisions and day-to-day tasks, making things easier, they put smaXtec's boluses in the herd in May last year and the heifers in August of this year. So the person that was responsible to getting into the boluses from smaXtec is Melinda Little. And welcome along, Melinda. You're well known to not only the Manawatu, but I think countrywide with your involvement not only in smaXtec but also previous positions within the agriculture industry. She's a very keen supporter of the New Zealand dairy event and is on the committee there as well. She has a strong background in agriculture services, a passion for innovation as well. Melinda works closely with farmers and veterinarians to integrate smaXtec's health monitoring system into pasture-based operations, helping to improve welfare, reproduction and production. Very, very important aspects on New Zealand's farming as we speak. And anyway, the question I'd like to ask you, Melinda and John, what do boluses do? Tell me something about them.
I'll tell you what they do, and then John will tell you how he uses it. How does that sound?
That sounds a really good idea because we're a vast range of audiences out there. They'll want to know, what do these boluses do? How do they implement them, and what's the benefit of it?
So the bolus is a 220 gram bolus that's medical grade. It sits in the cow's reticulum. So we come and insert them. We have a bit of fun on those days, don't we, John?
Yep.
Pop them in the cow. It stays in the cow's reticulum forever. And it transmits data from the reticulum, mainly about the cow's internal health, temperature. So this is about health. So a temperature increase for that cow, as it's looking at that cow's temperature, will give you an indication that she's got a infection rumbling. A decrease to her normal temperature would be a metabolic issue. So straight away, the farmers can assess what's happening. This is well before a rumination decrease. It'll read her rumination minutes. It'll give you her water intake, how often she's drinking and how much. And it'll give you pre-calving alerts as well, which is based around temperature decreases. It also gives you, and we'll cover a bit of this today, a lovely insemination window that moves with the cow. And we've delved a bit deeper into working out not every cow has the same perfect standing heat, and sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad. So the bolus is simple to use. It's on your laptop. You can access it wherever you like, or we've got a very, very functional app that we're continually developing as well with input from our farmers. That's what it does. How do you use it?
Boluses, I suppose, going back to when I first did my research, I looked at the various wearables and this ticked all the boxes that I required. So the big thing for me was the mating management. We have done away with tail paint for the first time in nearly 40 years of farming. I don't have tail paint all up my arms at mating time. So going to town, people don't know that I've been mating. We also put the boluses in the heifer August last year. So everything's run now for a full 12 months. And we had pre-mating heats on all our young stock. As you said, we're fully self-contained here. So the young stock are on the platform. They get picked up by all the base stations, and we have full information on them, rumination and heats. We were able, with the pre-mating information, to assess. We had 140 heifers, and of those, only 30 would have cycled in our first week of mating, and the rest would have required a PG. So we split our remained 110 over 3 days, and that managed my mating program. We had 78% of those heifers held to AI, and then we were also able to identify the empty ones, and we ran with 8% empty out of those heifers.
One of the things that we noticed with John's yearling heifers last year, and I hadn't seen it elsewhere, was when he put the boluses in August, was the incredibly strong heats they had. All of these heifers were running, he's obviously, well, we know John's a good farmer, but he's running a good system where these heifers have been beautifully managed all the way through. The heats were so strong, and this also helps with the ability to be able to get them in calf, is because he's looked after them well from day dot, and that consistency. And we see that in your feeding as well, John.
Yes. Yeah, it's really good to have the tech there to endorse what we're doing with the feeding program. And it's the other big use for ourselves moving on is identifying things like mastitis, health issues in the cows, and metabolics. Mastitis, we haven't stripped the herd since we put the boluses in, which is a huge saving. It was nearly a weekly occurrence, and now we just have alerts on temperature. We can identify cows even pre-clinical. So this morning I said to the guys, we need to find 124. We've got an alert on her. So the guys found her. She still looked fine. We were able to just paint her a bit of paint on the leg to monitor her. It's really a handy tool to control that mastitis, the somatic cell counts.
So you've found, John, since you've had these boluses in, that your actual bulk cell count has come down over the period of time that you've had them in?
Yes, yep. We've dropped down. We were running it 200,000, which wasn't something I was overly proud at, but we're back down below 150, which is where open country puts the maximum premium. So that's nice. We picked up another 4 cents for that.
The other thing you said about the heifers, I just want to go back to the point there, the monitoring on them. You've got your cell phone or your laptop or your iPad or whatever. Is there stations around the farm? Is that how the data is fed back to you? Just talk me through a little bit about that, Melinda.
So we have remote base station. Basically, the base station is like an internet router. All it's doing is sending information, updates to the bolus, and receiving it. So they don't have to see each other. And that's why if John did decide to buy another couple of farms, that would be good, John, he'd be able to, and had maybe a runoff, he could just take one of his base stations to the runoff to monitor his cows. So they're all independent and they run off some card to be able to send and receive. What our farmers tend to do is, instead of waiting till they come to the dairy to have an update, they will have updates around the farm. John's got a solar, a particularly special one, which Phoebe and I have been up his solar in his fallen down tree. He's got it up nice and high, so it's working. It works beautifully out in the middle of the farm. So you can either plug them into just ordinary power if you've got pump shed or some other power source, or you can utilise a solar that you can move around the farm as well. And this means farmers always say, oh, I'm quite happy with the data when they come to the dairy, but all of a sudden they're not, when they want to really know what's going on with their cows, and you're getting that data all the time. Not that you're going to run out in the middle of the day and attend to a cow that's got a temperature alert, but you know what's happening by the time she comes to the dairy. And for calving, it's probably full mount.
You're needing that information downloaded on a regular basis from the likes of your Springer mob. And we inseminate cows twice a day with the app on the phone. It'll bring up all the cows that are due to cycling and when they're due to be inseminated, and gives you that good window for whether you're using conventional or sex semen.
Yep. That's, I think, a big plus with the boluses, I guess, from an outside looking in, is that your sex semen now is at the top end of the market expensive wise, but you want to have every possible chance of getting those animals to hold and take on that sex opportunity. What you're saying, John, is with the information you're getting those optimum times, whether it be night or morning, or you're leaving them about.
Yes, it's helped them identify those cows and get that semen and get them in calf. One of the other things, we didn't have a very good in-calf rate. It was about 21% we had empty this year, but we were able to drill down through all the records and analyse, and we could identify things like we had a high humidity spike in November, and that impacted all the cows that were inseminated in the 3 days after that. It came through empty. So they're starting to identify situations where out of our control that causing infertility.
It's interesting, Selwyn, because I think all New Zealand farmers beat themselves up over this empty rate, and without being able to look back and actually drill down and see why did those cows not hold. I mean, John's got a climate sensor which feeds back every day, every few hours, what's happening with temperature, and more importantly, when we're coming into a heat stress situation. So it'll alert and say, hey, you're running on a mild heat stress due to humidity, due to temperature. And one of the things that we saw, I was reminding John yesterday of this cow. He had one cow that she was beautiful heats, inseminated her the day before we actually had a heat stress event, which was 29 degrees, so it was a really hot day. She then cooked 2 days later when the humidity stayed up over 80 for day and night. So even at 2 o'clock in the morning, it was at 81, the humidity was, so the THI, it was just ridiculous. So you can see her average temperature line had lifted, and you had a few of those where the cows simply cooked, they couldn't hold. John had 10 on his list that next day, and of them, 9 of them had the same procedure happened, and they can't hold, and then they don't get in calf. So there's a lot of things where you look back on.
It's quite amazing, that data and the collection of it, because if you went, say, when you do your prig testing in April or May or whenever you do it, and you've got some cows that are empty, and 21%, to be fair, is not the best. It's a little bit higher than what we'd probably like to see. But you wouldn't think, if you didn't have these boluses in, you wouldn't think of, I can remember on the 29th of November, or whatever date it was, for 3 days we had sweltering heat and the cows were under heat stress. So I think you can look back on it now. What can you do about the heat stress? Well, that I don't know, but I guess there's something that you can think through and go, well, are we going to have some cooling areas for them, or make sure they're in paddocks that have got good shade, etc. That's amazing, that data you've picked up from that and been able to draw down on that.
One of probably the biggest thing that's come out of studying John's cows and then starting to look at the New Zealand cows was we have dragged the data out from all the cows in New Zealand, so all of our farms, and looked at the biggest effect on a cow not getting in calf across all lactations, across all breeds, and that would be one temperature increase between 0 days of milk and 10 days of milk. If that cow has one temperature increase, she's 6.8% less chances that she's going to get in calf that year, because that's how much in that time affects her. And when you think about that time, she's the most vulnerable. You're trying to pump milk and look after her. So that's come from all of our data here. It blew our company away in Austria, I can tell you that.
Yeah, interesting points here, Melinda. Like, some people go on about fertility and stuff is hereditary, John, and you're a master breeder, I take it. Is there anything that is... You've certainly supplied you and Wendy a lot of bulls for the AI system. The Lightburn name's well out there, so I'm going to praise you on that big time, and you're passionate about it. But is there anything like that? We say the fertility runs in cow families, etc., or maybe bulls. So is this backing up those theories, or is it saying no, that's not quite right? It's events that are causing more of fertility problems.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, physical events are numerous, but one of the interesting things that you can see through the data is that dams and their daughters do have very similar profiles. When a cow has a heat on the system, it has a red line that elevates as she comes into season, and that red line can move up, and some horny little ones, the ones that are on for 2 days, they're bulling at night and they're still going in the morning. Those sort of profiles, the line will go up and continue along and drop, or it may drop and then come back up again. It's quite heritable between what the dam does and what the daughter does. This is still early days for the company, but the more data we can get and analyse, certainly it's opening up the opportunity to identify better that fertility.
Very good. What are the key learnings from the boluses that's really driving, I guess, profitability, ease of working environment? What's the key factors behind this, John, that you are really sold on this idea of the boluses and the information you're gathering out?
As I've said, the mating, the health has been the key for me, and it's fully met all my expectations on those. One of the reasons I installed it was I needed to have calving alerts because there was a potential that I might have had to be out of the picture during last calving. I fortunately wasn't. Those calving alerts are great information to identify those cows and monitor them and pick out when you've got that morning where you've got 5 calves all in one corner, then being able to find that missing cow in the herd. That's been handy.
Is it user friendly for the workers? So have they bought into it? The staff bought into it?
Yeah, it is great. They've been able to pick up on the finding those cows, and in some ways it doesn't endorse those ones where they're saying, oh, that cow's coming on heat, she hasn't had an alert yet. And I'll say, yeah, look at her diagram, you can see that she's starting to come up. So it is really good as a bit of a training tool for those youngest staff members as well.
Melinda, just on the boluses themselves, so you put them in a cow, is there an identification on them? Because I guess you could go down the track and all of a sudden see a bolus laying in the yard or on the track and you go, well, geez, where does that belong? I've got 350 cows here. So tell me a little about that.
So the bolus itself has an individual number. It's got a QR code on it as well, and it's linked to the cow. We were just talking about this yesterday. John's had a couple of heifers who, around calving, if the bolus is sitting in the reticulum, often the size of the calf or where it is can pump them into the rumen and you lose your rumination. But John found one on the track yesterday.
Yes.
Where obviously she's just calved and it's the pressure of the calf's popped one up. We might get maybe 5 a year, maybe 6 a year on all our farms might pop out. But he's managed picked it up, put the number in and went, I know who this belongs to.
So it went back in her gob yesterday.
She'll be thrilled.
I was going to say, so what alert does it get when it's laying on the track? It's not ruminating, that's for sure.
It's amazing. I've had one that got spat out at a farm when he was putting them in. Usually if it's going to happen, it'll be when you're putting them in. As the heifers run out, and it had gone down obviously into a drain. So he was going, this heifer's unbelievable. So when we worked it out quite quickly, the temperature was going from 1 degree to 18 degrees as the hot water was rolling over it. So we worked out quite quickly what's going on. You can see how much rain. We've had them on people's bikes when they've been able to see how much movement they're doing, and clearly if it's been near a water trough or anything like that. It's quite incredible what it'll tell you.
Yeah.
And the temperature.
And location as well. When we were installing them in our heifers, somebody took one and had it in her ute. And I was wondering why it seemed to be that this heifer disappeared off the farm and been picked up on other sensors. Anyway, we realised, I contacted Melinda and said, look, I've got this bolus being picked up on this monitor. And she says, well, that's where I am.
Ironically, it was having a heat that day too, which was even more concerning.
Yes.
You could actually elaborate on that and say about calving as well and all these things.
That
but
would
I
have been
think
a
we better-
concern, wouldn't it?
Yes, I think we better leave that there. So we're moving on down. Melinda, the data all the time, is there updates improving? What's on the horizon for smaXtec and Bolus?
So the cool thing about this company, it's nimble and everyone feed in. So the farmers can feed in directly or we feed in straight away. I'm talking to John yesterday, he's like, I want to see this happening on my app, and you can feed it back, and overnight I've had a response saying that is an outstanding idea, and they put it on the list to things to develop. Always getting in and tweaking and bringing out new exciting things to come out in the next 12 months as well. One of the things when I started 4 years ago was we never had any customizable reporting, and the farmers asked for it. And now we have customizable reporting, and they just keep adding things in all the time. And sometimes you'll get up in the morning because it's Austrian and go, oh wow, look at that. We've now got group water data. We never had that 3 years ago. We got that last year. So much running in the background that they run alongside, and then next minute it's out. It's pretty nimble, and we have a very unusual group of farmers who I'd say are the most intense farmers in the world, but are very relaxed, and they are all super achievers. So we're very lucky and fortunate to work along some pretty amazing farmers.
I guess that's a good thing for you, John, because you can challenge the system, and you are the kind of person that I know that would do that, and you'd say, why can't I get this data for such and such or some trade or something? And now you've got something on board that you can actually challenge, and they can say, yeah, we'll put it to whoever and come back and say, yeah, we can do that, or no, we're working on that. Whereas other systems out there is pretty cut and dry. This is what it can do, and that's it. So for you, John, that must be pretty pleasing.
Yes, one of the things that it's showing, because we do quite an intensive work around the ET work and reproductive, we've been able to formulate reports where we can pick out cows that are having good heats and get them programmed using PG to be recipients, identify donor cows and ones that are cycling at the right time and appropriately for doing donor work. That's been great. And now they have a performance centre which identifies simple things such as, okay, you've got so many % more temperature alerts this week than last week, or your rumination is dropping, and you can look at, okay, what's happening with the diet, what's happening with the pasture. We can really have our finger on the pulse.
These are really good things because you're seeing what potentially could be a train crash before the train crashes, so to speak. When I was farming, you say, have we got enough grass, or when do I start irrigating, and all those sorts of things. And you knew if the neighbours started irrigating, then you'd irrigate. But with the probes going, you can get that sorted. And same with this. If you see there's a problem on the horizon, you're able to fix it sooner than the guy down the road maybe that hasn't got this technology at their disposal.
One of the things that took me a little while to get my head around was water intake, and clearly a production athlete like your dairy cows need to have water to be producing, but we've seen some really interesting data around that where maybe staff have forgotten to fence a trough in the paddock and you've known within a couple of hours that the cows have had insufficient water. There's a lot more cow behaviour with that too. Cows getting bullied, particularly young cows can't get to troughs, or the farm simply doesn't have enough troughs. So those sorts of things give you an upper hand.
So you can see every day what your intake is per cow and the deviation. So I think we're running at about 20 litres of deviation, which means everything is able to have as much water as they want. One of the other interesting things one of the other vets has noticed was that some cows drink excessive amounts and identified them that they were diabetic.
Kelly Andrews presented that at the vet conference, and she's found a cow that actually died. She was doing in excess of 200 litres of water every day after calving. The cow died, she post-mortem her, and she's got an issue with insulin, obviously, and her daughter is in the herd this season. She's going, holy smoke, very similar trait. So whilst we see things with even yonis, if a cow's scouring, or any cow that's scouring, you'll see a water intake elevate. Likewise, if you see cows with no water intake, you know that something's brewing there. Or if you've got a cow that might be down and needs some help, she's not getting any water, no one's giving her water, she's not going to recover. The water's incredible. That's blown my mind, water.
The other interesting thing is how rapidly you get 10 mils of rain and your water intake will drop about 50 to 60 litres a day. People that are relying on minerals going through the inline dispenser are definitely going to be compromised.
Never thought of that. That's a great point, to be fair. I guess they're getting enough moisture out of the pasture, etc., to take up some of that water. Unbelievable. And I hadn't heard of cows having diabetes either. So
It's interesting. This is just watch this space. That might be your next podcast.
Yeah, diabetes in cows and humans, and what's the relation? Like, I've got a bit of diabetes. It's usually a bit of overweightness that causes that. Right, so I guess where to from here, guys? John, what's your goal? Are you wanting to, obviously, using this data, and what's going to help you keep on the same track as you're doing with the data? I think we've touched on the mastitis and things and the reproductive side of things. So where to from here? Where's Lightburn? Are they aiming for that 700 kilograms of milk solids, or more and more bulls into the AI system? What's your goals? Come back on the board?
Certainly, well, there's all those factors that opens up. I am getting older, and my breeding is my passion and hobby. There is more to life, and particularly my wife thinks I should spend more time with her. We're able to step back a little bit and have some faith that things are covered when younger staff members are on board.
Yeah, I guess that peace of mind thing, isn't it? Like you go away for a weekend or whatever and you're not stressing because you're seeing what's happening and you can ring. So I guess that Wendy will probably say we'll go away without the telephone so you can't look at the data so you can de-stress. But knowing you, John Allen, you'll probably stress more. And I guess it's helping you make those happy cows, happy life. So obviously smaXtec is certainly an ingredient to kick all those goals of happy cows, happy life sort of thing. Good staff, happy
We
staff.
quite like the wives been happy too, Selwyn. That's very important for us as well.
Yes. And for you, Melinda, obviously you've been in the company 4 years, but I can see during time the passion that you have for it and the knowledge that you've gained through this, that must be pretty damn pleasing. And for you, the future, obviously you want to get out there and get more people using the products from smaXtec, but for you, the future.
We are getting more and more, like it's growing, it's snowballing at the moment. We also appreciate this isn't for every single farmer. Like there's a vast amount of data here. And again, we're working alongside some pretty amazing farmers who use it. So it's just finding those farmers and working with them. We have an incredible support team. So making sure that we've got people on the ground to be able to support, because it's all good and well to sell it, but if you can't support it, no one will use it.
I can fully endorse it. It's been just amazing with Melinda, and we have Phoebe here on the manure too. And yeah, go Phoebe. I don't annoy them too much out of hours, but they've certainly been fully supportive and great at answering questions and getting results back to me.
Yeah, that's really important, isn't it, John? And because you don't want to go and buy a product and then all of a sudden the salesman's made a kick, made their money out of it, and then basically go missing in action when there's problems. And I certainly believe that Melinda and the rest of the team are certainly very supportive in that way, and that's why they're becoming more and more successful throughout the country and gaining more of a market share, I guess. And takes me on to the next thing, Melinda, like, thank you very much from the Holstein Friesian Association for the recent sponsorship at our local conference. It's much appreciated. I know sometimes times are pretty hard out there for companies and everyone put their hand out and get some sponsorship off you, but we certainly thank you very much for that. And could you hand on our thanks and gratitude to you, the powers to be, and also to John, like you're a former board member, and you and Wendy were very instrumental, especially Wendy, in part of organising the Centenary Conference, which was held in Palmerston North, and then the latter conference as well, you were both involved in. So you've been very passionate about the Holstein Friesian breed and the members in it. So we as an association, John, we thank you for all you've put in over the years, and may it continue, and your breeding goals have been well recognised and been taken up from a New Zealand dairy industry people. There's a lot of light burn animals out there. I know with me out TOPing, sire proving, and you say, what's this by? It's by a light burn bull. So you're certainly a knowledgeable chap, and you're passionate and a very, very good farmer. And so on behalf of the association, guys, we wrap up this episode 31 of Maximum Production, brought to you by smaXtec.
Thank you, Selwyn.
Thank you.